Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we will be working on this gorgeous little coaster we love. Let's have a look, see, we'll just take that water off without spilling it and making a mess. Okay, so there's your gorgeous coaster. I love. You can make it in any color you like. Today I did use the pomegranate, which is my favorite color of Bendigo Woolen Mills. It is an 8-ply. You can use also a 10-ply or a 12-ply. You can go as big as you like. If you use a 4-ply, you may need to add an extra row because it will make your coaster a tad smaller. But yeah, so use an 8-ply, which is a medium weight, if that helps those overseas. This yarn does call for a 4mm size hook. Yours truly did use the 4.5 in this tutorial for a number of reasons. One, the actual stitch itself is rather tight and quite squishy, so I wanted to use a stitch the hook size larger so you can actually see the stitches being performed, and it does make the coaster the right size. If you use a 4, the coaster can be a tad small. Okay, so I did use the 4.5. I used scissors, I needed a sewing needle, weaving needle for 2 ends, and I did need a stitch marker. You will need a stitch marker, guys, or a piece of thread, or a hairpin, whatever it is that suits you, but you will need something to attach to your very first stitch that we do in the round. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. We're just going to get started with our gorgeous coaster. Thanks for joining us and good luck. All right, now we are going to form a quick slip knot. Yarn over your finger once and yarn over your finger twice. Hold it there. You've got your working end there and your tail end there. Yes. Now you're going to pass that back loop halfway over, holding it there. Yes. Then you're going to pass the other loop all the way over your finger, pop your hook in and give your work a tug. All right. Now we are going to form chains, 4 chains. Okay. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through, 1. Yarn over your hook, 2. Yarn over your hook, 3. Yarn over your hook, 4. Very basic, yeah? Now that very first stitch that you'd made, we want to pop our hook in that stitch. So passing either 1 loop or 2 loops over, it doesn't matter. Pop a yarn over your hook. You've got to hold everything. Pull your loop through. And what you've got is your stitches, and in between your stitches there's like a little thread. That's the thread that we're working with now. All right, so just pull that loop through to the loop on your hook, and there's your circle. You need to keep your circle open because we're going to work in that circle. So maybe keep your fingers there. Okay, yarn over your hook. We're going to chain up 3. 1, 2 and 3. Now we're going to do a double crochet in that space. So yarn over your hook, pop your hook in the space, yarn over your hook, pull up a loop like so. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2. Yarn over your hook, pull through the last 2. Now you don't need to hold that center now because we've already formed 1 stitch in there. So you've got the chains here will work as 1 double crochet in this row. So that's 1 and 2. Now you're going to do another 10 more. So you need 12 altogether. So yarn over your hook, pop your hook in the space, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2, yarn over your hook, pull through the last 2. That's 3. Then we're going to do our 4th stitch. Okay. 5. So just keep going until you make 12 altogether, and I'll show you how to count 12. Okay, just for a bit of fun, I'm just letting you know, I used to call the stems here, which is actually called the post, I used to call them sticks growing up. And the double crochets, I know it's weird, the double crochets were called large sticks, the half doubles were called medium stitch, and the singles were called small stitch. So I know I was a little bit unorthodox growing up. Some things never change. I'm still a tad unorthodox. So just keep going until you reach 12 double crochet. It was just a bit of trivia there for me. I mean, about me. Okay, there are many ways you can count whether you've got 12. The main way is to count these things that look like V. Always count your stitches in your rounds because each round needs to grow. It needs to get bigger. You need to add stitches, so counting is really important in crochet. So you just count those V's. 1, 2, I'll do it this way so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then there's your chains right there. That little chain right there will work as your 12th V. All right, so it's a little bit fiddly to begin with, the first round. After that, it gets a lot easier. All right, so grabbing your hook with no yarn or anything, just pop your hook if you can, like, you know, yours truly makes that first stitch very tight. That is the stitch to your double crochet, your first double crochet, your second double crochet, sorry. In here, right there, is your first double crochet. That's the stitch. That shouldn't be so tight, guys. I hope yours aren't as tight as mine. And you know what? I do these over and over again and I still manage to make them tight. Oh, we're done. We're in. Little bit fiddly. I hope yours isn't as fiddly as mine. Or isn't as tight as mine. All right, then you're in your stitch. You grab your loop, you pull a loop through there, and you pull it through the loop on your hook. And what you've done is you've formed a slip stitch. So you have closed your circle. Now we are chaining up 3 once again. Don't make these stitches too tight. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're also going to chain up one more, because that's classified as your double crochet in this round. We're going to chain up one more. That will be like a space up the top, and you'll need that for your next round, okay? Then we are going to put a double crochet in your very first double crochet. Now that is the chains that we have just worked in. Let me get a better close up for you so you can see. We've just worked in those chains. We want to get our hook in that little V there. Okay, so you're doing a normal double crochet in that V. I hope that helped. I'll just bring that out again so you can see what I'm doing next. Chain 1. Then you're going to put a double crochet in your very next V. Like that. This round is just that, all the way through. Chain 1, double in your next. Chain 1, double in your next, chain 1, double in your next, and so on, all the way in the round on top of every V stitch that you come to. All right, super easy, yeah? Chain 1 and double crochet. So it's not exactly, you're not exactly putting it in the V stitch because there's no V stitch there. I just call it a V stitch because that looks like a V. You are putting your double crochet in the top of the double crochet from your previous round. That is how it's worded. So when you are reading a pattern and they say double crochet in your next double crochet, that is what you're doing. All right, we are fairly close to this last double crochet, which is right there. See that V right there? That V has been worked in with the chains. So this last V that you see needs to have, see, I've done that V, and then there's one more there. Pop it in there. And what we're going to do, we'll do the double crochet, we'll do the chain 1, we'll stop there, and we will count our stitches. Now, because this round has a chain in between, to me, it's a lot easier to count just your double crochets. So you're just going, making sure you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and remember the chains count as a stitch, 12, all right? Otherwise, you've just got to count 24 V's, if that helps, all right? Now, we've already done our chain to jump into our next double crochet, so to speak, but it's not a double crochet, it's just chains. Now, before we chained up 3, and then we chained up another one to make your space in between. So find the top of that third chain. So it's 1, 2, and right there is the third chain. Now, Just be wary. Oh, that didn't even work. Let's try that again. Whoops. Get it right, Mary. There we go. We're in. Now, in between there to your next double crochet should be a chain. That's a fairly tight chain, but that should be a chain there. Make sure you're only putting it in the third one and not in your fourth chain. All right, I hope that helped. Now, pop your loop through like so, and there you go. Might look like it's tugging a little bit. Normally when you're putting your double crochets in the round, you are putting 2 double crochets in each stitch. But we've put a chain, and that will act as your second. So it's a little bit pulley at the moment, but it will sort itself out because I've already done many of these and they look gorgeous. I know, I say that about everything. Let's get on with round 3. So that was first round, second round, we are now on to round 3. All right, well, let's start it again. This round is a little tiny bit tricky, but not difficult, okay? It's not difficult completely. So you're chaining up your 3 like normal, 1, 2 and 3. Now here you are putting in that space, you're not putting it in any stitch, you are doing a normal double crochet. Easy? All right, now you're doing what we call in the crochet world is a wrap double crochet or a wrap stitch. You are going to be putting a double crochet around that double crochet, not in any space, around the one that you made. So it's yarn over your hook, and you actually, if you think about it, turn your work on the side and you actually are working around the whole double crochet like that. Now lift up your threads a little bit because you need some space for this. Yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. So see how you need the space to do this. Yarn over your hook, pull through the next 2 loops. And what it should look like is actually a letter Y, if that helps. Kind of like a letter Y, all right? Now you jump into your normal double crochet. See that double crochet stitch there? You are going to do a normal double crochet in that stitch. So just do your normal double crochet there, all right? Like I said, that wrap stitch is a tiny little bit tricky, but it can be done, okay? So now we're going into the space with a double crochet. All right, now we're going to do that wrap stitch again. So yarn over your hook, turn your work to the side, and you are working around that post. Pull up your loop, give yourself some space, yarn over your hook, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over your hook, pull through the last 2 loops, and there's your letter Y. Now you are doing a double crochet in the top of that double crochet, okay? And this is all you're doing all the way around. In your space, you're doing a normal double crochet. Then you are doing that wrap stitch around it. Okay. In your stitch, you're doing your normal double crochet. Okay, easy. Now in the space, you're doing a double crochet, and then you're doing your wrap stitch around your double crochet. Take your time with the wrap stitch, okay? It can be a little fiddly. If you do, the tip is don't do your wrap stitch too tight, okay? So we'll do the normal double crochet again. So I'll show you that tip so you know. Well, you've seen it already twice, but I'll show you again. You pop your hook in the space, do your normal double crochet, and your wrap is you turn your work to the side, yarn over your hook, right around the post, pull up a loop, and make it tall. That way, if it's nice and loose, you can grab your hook and pull it through the first 2 loops. Do you know what I mean? And then pull it through the next. So you've got plenty of space. It's not going to tug and pull. If you do that stitch too tight, it will tug and pull and you'll be fighting with it. All right, so just continue in the round. I'll just speed this part up and I'll meet you at the end of the row. All right, so we are popping our wrap one there, right there. All right, towards the end of this row here, you will find that you have this look here, all right? You are still putting your double crochet on the top of that double crochet. Now this is where you can make the mistake. Try not to, because it's really important, otherwise you'll be a stitch short. You need to do the double crochet in that space. Even though you've got your chains there, the space before it is a normal space. So you are still doing your normal double crochet in the space there, and then do your wrap stitch like normal. Super easy, super easy. All right, now this is the part where we slip stitch to the top of that tight chain from before, but I trusted myself to do it loose this time, so it's easy. All right, so grab your hook, pop it through that chain, pull a loop through, and pull it through the loop on your hook. And you'll notice now that your work is starting to look flatter. Like before, it was kind of turning in a little bit, but this wrap stitch has given it space, which is making your work look flatter. If it's not flat, then you have either missed stitches, which we'll count in a minute, or you may need to go up a size or down a size on your hook. All right, now the Bendigo yarn does call for a 4mm hook. I'm using the 4.5 so that I can make my coaster a little bit wider, and I'd like it a lot bigger so that it's easier for my glass to go on. All right, so that is this round, and let me show you how to count it. Just as we counted before, you can count the actual posts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And that is exactly what you should have. All right. Now, the other thing you need to focus on is making sure that every second stitch has your wrap. Okay. If it doesn't, take it undone now. Go ahead, redo it. That wrap is really tight up there. See, sometimes if you do them too tight, they come out like that. All right, so there you go. That's done. Now we're going on to the next round. Very exciting. For this next round, you have, this is 1, 2, 3. So this is your 4th round. This is where you will need your stitch marker or a piece of thread or anything that you have. You may not need it, but this is where I'm going to use mine. So I'm going to chain 1 to start with. Now, in this round, we are going to be putting single crochets and chains. All right. Now, just a quick note to let you know, when we did our double crochet before, that was the V to that double crochet. When you did your wrap stitch, it gave you another V. So it's practically giving you another stitch in there. Just making it look prettier, that's all. All right, so what we're going to do is pop a single crochet in the same space that we are in, which is fairly tight because it's that stitch. Now, single crochet, you're putting your hook in that stitch, pull up a loop. So you've got 2 loops on your hook, yarn over your hook, pull through both loops on your hook. That is a single crochet. It's very basic. Grab your stitch marker and pop it in that little V. Now you can use a piece of thread, you can use a stitch marker, you can use a safety pin, whatever you have in stock. Okay, nothing fancy, okay, just anything. Now you chain 2, 1 and 2. You are skipping that first, see that first V right there? It's quite tight, but it's there. Skip that stitch, jump into your next with a single crochet. Okay, chain 1 and 2. Skip that first stitch, jump into your next with a single crochet. Chain 1 and 2, skip that stitch there, jump into your next with a single crochet. I'm pretty sure you're getting the picture now, 1 and 2. Okay, and that's all you need to do all the way across the row. 1 and 2, jump into your next. All right, super easy this row, 1 and 2, and quick. Jump into your next. All right, so what I want you to do, I know we can keep going. I'll just go real fast. How's that sound? So you might see like a 1, 2, a little speed up right now. All right, here we go. Chain 1 and 2. Now, if you played your cards right, or if you did your count right, you should have just that one V right there, and then we're slip stitched there, right? So you should have that one V right there. We are skipping that V. Now remember that stitch marker? We are popping a slip stitch in that stitch of your stitch marker. If you want to leave it in there while you're doing it, you can. It can get a bit tight, but you can pop your hook in, or you can take it undone, whatever suits you, and then just pull your loop through like so. So all you're doing is a slip stitch there. You're not doing a single crochet. Take out your stitch marker and have a look, see what you've done. All right, that is row number 4. Yay! So we are getting to the stage where we're going to start ending off our coaster. So we've got 2 rows left to go. All right, so the last row is optional, but this row here, definitely do this row, okay? All right, round 5 is super easy. You are just chaining 1 for the moment, and then you're going to put a single crochet in the same stitch that you are in. So single crochet, okay, get that stitch marker again and pop it in your little V section of your single crochet. All right, now in the space you are putting 2 single crochets. That's just around the space. 1 and 2. Then there's your single crochet from the previous round. You are popping your hook in that stitch right there with 1. Okay, now you're putting 2 single crochets in the space again. So 1 and 2. Then 1 in your next. Super easy. 2 in the space, 1 and 2. Get excited, guys. We've only got 1 round to go. 1 in your stitch, 2 in the space, 1 in the stitch, 2 in your space, and that is all you are doing in this round. Yay! All right, so what I want you to do is go ahead and do that all the way, and I'm going to pick up speed right now. Alright, so now you've got your space before your stitch marker. You need to pop 2 single crochets in that space right there. That's your single crochet that we popped our stitch marker in. Now I've split the yarn there, so hopefully that doesn't affect what I'm about to do. It does. All you need to do is pop a slip stitch in there. Let me take that out. Pop a slip stitch in your single crochet, the first one that had your stitch marker in. So you're slip stitching across that way and there. So far, that is what you have. It should lay flat, just a tiny bit of give, just a bit tight on certain areas, but it should still lay flat, okay? If it's not laying flat, you've either left out a stitch or you are crocheting extremely tight. So loosen up that crochet hook, all right? Now, this row here is optional. If you don't want to do this part, you're welcome to do just another row of single crochet, which is exactly what we've done, popping your single crochet in every stitch, okay? Because this row can actually be, it's actually everything against the way crocheters work. All right, so all you're doing is holding onto your thread there, pop your hook in your back stitch, pull up a loop real slowly. Okay, raise your threads a little bit so you've got a bit of height. Yarn over your hook, pull through those 2 loops, okay? Holding your thread, finger, thumb, whatever you want to hold with, whatever's easy. Pop it in the next stitch, pull up a loop, and you've got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over your hook, pull it through both loops. Okay, this is called the crab stitch, okay? So holding your thread again, pop it in your next stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over your hook, pull through both loops on your hook. Now, before you go on, it might pay at this stage to grab your stitch marker and pop it right in. I'll show you a nice close-up of it so you can see it. Right there. So that's where we did our first loop over, and that is just part of the post of the first loop over. So pop your stitch marker in there, because when we come around, we're not going to be putting, well, we'll wait until we get around and I'll show you, okay? So in the meantime, you are going back into that last stitch. Again, if this is too difficult for you, just do a round of single crochets, okay? There, okay? Into the next stitch, pull up your loop, there, and then your next. All right, it's a very tricky stitch to begin with. Once you get the hang of it and you make sure you hold that thread, whether you're using your thumb or your finger, I don't know, it depends on how you crochet, okay? It's entirely up to you. It's all about comfort and how you feel comfortable with it. Now this stitch, the reason I like doing it, I know it's kind of a little tricky, is because it kind of raises on the sides. So when you pop your glass in there, it looks nice. It's not just a coaster. It's a coaster that looks nice, okay? If you do this stitch too loose, it can look a little messy, like that one right there. So I'm going to give that a bit of a tug. Be careful not to make them too loose, but if you do them too tight, you can't complete the stitch. So it can be very tricky either way. All right, again, don't stress. If you want to do single crochet rows, you can. All right, so just go ahead, do those rows, do that row until you get to maybe 1 or 2 stitches before your stitch marker, and I will meet you up. All right, so there we have our row complete. Now I have 2 stitches left, I think. Let's have a look, see. All right, now with your first stitch, you do your normal. Actually, with both of them, you do them normal, like that. 1. Yes. Then you do your normal one with the next one. All right, now you're wondering how you're going to do this. Now all you do is you pull up a loop, grab your stitch marker, pop it out, pop your hook in the place where you had your stitch marker, pop your loop back on, give it a tug, pull it through, pull up a loop, and get ready for the important bit, guys. You can make your loop long or whatever you want. Doesn't matter how long you want your tail to be. Give it a cut, and guess what, guys? Your coaster is complete. Ta-da! Gorgeous! There's a little bit pulling on one side because I did that side tight. Shh, you didn't see that. There you go. All right, so now what I want you to do is grab your needle, your sewing, darning, weaving needle, whichever you want to call it, and pull your thread through. Don't think because we crocheted over that thread or because it's got all these stitches around it that it's okay. No, we are going to weave this in right there. Okay, let's get a nice close up so you can see. All right, so that's all our stitches from the beginning. So all you do is stick your needle through an amount of these stitches, turning it around, making sure you can't see the needle on this side, and just pop your thread through. Don't pull too tight because this is meant to have a tiny little gap. It's not one of those closed up stitches because it'll tug on your work and you don't want that. Keep going in the round. Again, making sure you can't see the needle, and you can't. So pull your loop through, your needle through. I keep saying loop now. Now we're going to go back the way we came, but you know, in a different section, of course, because we don't want to unravel what we just did. So find another spot to go into there, checking in the front so you can't see anything. Pull your needle through. And the reason we go back, it's reinforcement, because if you don't go back, this may come undone and you don't want that, okay? All right, I think that's enough. All right, now give it a cut, being careful not to cut your work, of course. When you give it a cut, bring that down a bit. If you give your work a gentle tug, it all sits itself into the center there and it won't come undone. This one here, a little trickier, but because we've done that fancy row, it's going to be easier to hide. Now the fancy row, it's not called a fancy row, it's called a crap stitch. Get it right, Mary. So it may have paid to have done this one last, but it doesn't matter. This is the front of your work when we pull that loop through. So all you need to do is stick your needle anywhere you want through that stitch. I'll show you the stitch anywhere you like, because it's going to be going just to the back right there. So that knot is now hidden in our fancy stitch. Don't pull that too tight. I noticed that messed up the stitch a little there, so don't pull it too tight. Now all you're going to do is grab your needle and pass it through stitches that you have crocheted over, making sure, whoa, you can see that, you don't want that. All right, see, it can happen. So don't let the needle be shown at that. See, it's still shown. I'll try this way. So passing your needle through some of the back stitches right there, being careful not to let your needle show on this side. Okay, so very lightly, if you keep digging too much in this part, you will be able to see that needle on the other side. You don't want to see it. Don't pull so tight with this one, I've noticed. You don't want to mess up that crab stitch look. Okay, and then do maybe a couple of more, because you know, yours truly, stickler again. Can't see the needle? No? Good. Alright. And I'll show you after this how, oh, we're going back the other way now, sorry guys. So find another section to go back into, not the same one, because you don't want to, again, you don't want to unravel what you just did. I think that went through, no it didn't, that's good. Right there. Now, because this is the last one, I would turn around and do just one section more. You don't need to. This is optional. Again, I always say optional. So a lot of people say, gee, that's a lot of weaving in. It is optional. You don't have to do the third one. Yours truly does. All right, there you go. Now we're going to cut that one right there. Now I just want to show you how, give it a tug, how you work out which is your right and wrong side of your coaster. It doesn't really matter. Okay, you can put the wrong side, giving it a bubbled look. But as I'm saying there, it is kind of, the work kind of looks bubbly, and it kind of looks messy, and it looks wrong, if you know what I mean. When you pop it that way, everything is flat, everything is neat, and guys, there you have it, one gorgeous stitch marker. Let me move all my stuff out the way so you can see beautiful. Did I say stitch marker? And there you have it, guys, one gorgeous coaster. You can use any color you like. You can use any cotton you like, preferably cotton. I think wool does not go well for a coaster, but you know, it's entirely up to you. You could use a 4-ply, 8-ply, or 10-ply, and I'll just grab my glass and pop it on, and you can have a look-see. And there you go. Ta-da! And that is an unusually large glass too, by the way, guys. But there's your gorgeous coaster. Ta-da! I love, love, love. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Yours truly did make that row a little bit difficult for you. If you didn't want to do that row, you could have just done a row of single crochets and it would have been just as gorgeous. Thank you so much for doing our first coaster. It's actually our second coaster, because our first coaster was the St. Patrick's Day coaster, and I have left a link to the St. Patrick's Day coaster in the description box down below so you can have a play. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, do all those beautiful things that you do for us. Also, don't forget, guys, the giveaway is actually coming up in the next couple of weeks. This week, by the end of this week, you will have all the details to the giveaway. We have reached our 6,000 subscriber mark. Yay! Very exciting. And I will be doing that giveaway, guys, and I will ship anywhere around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. And guess what, guys? Ciao for now.